You say Christianity, we say, oh, the teachings of Jesus. All right, nope, nope.
No, not even close.
Not even close. The foundation of Christianity began in Rome, and more specifically with Emperor Constantine and his mother, Empress Helena.
Right.
That's where it began. And they chopped and screwed the teachings of Jesus. Whistleblowers that were part of, or purport to be part of certain special access programs that spoke exactly to that. They said, we've seen, dealt with, done autopsies on, etc., interacted with various types of aliens.
All right, we got Billy Carson and Sharif Anael having a conversation about what they don't want us to know about Jesus. I mean, Billy Carson, some think he's a pseudoscientist. I like him a lot. I'm not too familiar with Sharif Anael, but he looks to be a more with his clothing. I'm not totally sure, but let's see these brothers have a conversation about this. I think the last time Billy Carson was out, he had a debate with with that Christian guy. What's his name? Wes something. It's can't remember. It's Wes Huffman or something like that. But anyways, the internet was saying he lost or whatever. But I mean, we'll see. I watched it. I can't say that it was mediated in a way to help Billy win in any kind of way. It was just a conversation. And a lot of the times, debate's not always about who's winning. You know what I mean? We're just trying to get some information. So I wanted to take a look at this interview and see what they had to talk about.
We didn't call, for instance, the Arabic word is alpha, which means, magic squares.
Yeah.
You're familiar with magic squares, things like that, right? Magic squares are the foundation of modern computing.
Yes.
But we were teaching magic squares into children.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
We was teaching our kids like computing when they were kids. You know what I mean? Like the stuff that you was learning in high school is the stuff that our ancestors were teaching their kids.
and so it's literally the origin of calculus, differential equations, all these things, right? We didn't call it magic squares. No, we called it mathematics.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is numbers.
Later, when NASA recruited a lot of the African American women to do all the science,
Correct.
they called them
They hired all them African American women to do all the science, and they took all the credit.
computers before computers even
They
existed.
called them computers.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah. They're working with the magic squares.
There's an individual, yes.
They called black women computers. Damn. Maybe black women are computers. I mean, life comes from the black woman, and she is pretty technical, and she does store a lot of data. It's interesting, and she has a lot of memory as well.
There's an individual up in upstate New York, in Troy, New York, Rensselaer Polytechnic College. His name is Rhonda Eglash. She's the head of mathematics up there. He wrote a book you probably have heard of it called African Fractals. Okay, there you go. So we brought him out to speak a few times, and he spoke about how he was initiated by the Dogon tribe because he went out there in Mali and was like, "Look, I want to learn your mathematics." They're like, "No." They're like, "No, it's too dangerous." They're like, he's like, "No," and he's writing equations
Billy Carson.
in the sand.
I'm having
Like, are you out of your mind?
About that, yes. They were like, no, that's sacred.
You can't do that.
No.
But I want to explain on your show
Yeah.
why. So he said to get them to change their mind, he said there is a contingency of your family in America that want nothing to do with mathematics. And it hurt them, it shocked them. So they said, okay, but we have to initiate you first. This is it, right? In the West, we agree that mathematics is a universal language.
Yeah.
Everything speaks language of mathematics, but nobody can verbalize what 5 is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Nobody can tell me what 3 is. You can't tell me.
Yeah.
Right? So in the West, we only know the quantitative function of number.
Right.
But our forefathers taught quantitative and qualitative function.
Our forefathers taught us quantitative and qualitative functions of numbers. quantitative and qualitative.
Numbers are living things. Just to speak the number and to put numbers together, you are tickling the fibers of creation at a quantum level and causing real things to happen. That's why they said, "Are you out of your mind? You crazy?
Yeah.
You can't do that."
The language of God is mathematics.
Yes, it is.
That's the language. That's what God speaks. God speaks mathematics.
That's fact.
And I don't care what planet you're on throughout the known universe.
That's right.
If you have evolved enough to understand and learn mathematics, you can communicate with anywhere.
Anywhere. To your point.
God communicates in the form of mathematics.
So the Quran, I forgot the individual's name. I think it's Khalifa, I think. But it's not hard to find. This brother made public the fact that the Arabic Quran is written based on a mathematical code of the number 19. Well, they unalived him for that.
Right.
Fast forward to the early 90s. Richard Hoagland, are you familiar with?
Oh yeah.
Richard Hoagland does a series of lectures at the United Nations on what they found in the Sidonia region of Mars. And so it wasn't the face, that was the big deal. It was southwest of the face. Yes, you got it. So you got the DNM pyramid, which is a pentagonal pyramid, all these other things. But there was a mathematical redundancy which shows intelligent design. That mathematical redundancy was the number 19.5.
That's right.
And so that led to, well, what was so significant about 19.5? That led into a group of mathematicians, theoretical mathematicians. They experimented with multiple dimensions, mathematically on paper, they're called topologists. And so they said, if you have a sphere, right, that existed in multiple dimensions, you would know because there'd be an outwelling of energy into there'd be a 3D shadow that lets you know that something's happening in higher dimensions. And you would see it.
You see, the way that we know there's a 3D dimension is because there's a shadow, there's a background. In the 2D dimension, there is no background. That's how we know that we're living in a multi-dimensional reality.
An outwelling of energy at 19.5 degrees.
You got to think, what is your shadow? Like, what is your shadow? What is that thing on the ground? It's only there from the reflection of light in the reality that you're experiencing in the 3D realm. So there must be a background for there to be a shadow, you know?
He's opposite of the pole.
Right.
Mount Kilauea in Hawaii, greater sunspot activity on the sun,
Yeah.
the great red spot on Jupiter. The list goes on, right?
Great pyramid and put it inside the earth.
Yes, there it is, 19.5, right there at the base point. See, exactly. So it's crazy. And so, but then even crazier, he said that the topologist said there'd be an inwelling of energy at the pole, opposite of 19.5. And you would know it because of the hexagonal shape.
That's like top 7.
Exactly. And so we now, and Richard Hoagland said this back then, that we have physical evidence of at least one of our planets being a stargate.
That's right.
At least one. Now, let's take this further into ancient.
Saturn is a stargate due to the hexagon structure created on the surface. Let's listen more.
Science. Why we have 7 days of the week. Why there's 7 chakras in the body. And a chakra is a wheel or a sphere.
Yeah.
And each one of those chakras is aligned to a planet. Why in the ancient religious doctrines there were 7 archons that the Hebrews call Elohim.
Yeah.
You see? There it is right there. It's not religious dogma, it's ancient technology.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's amazing stuff. Amazing stuff.
Mind blowing.
Yes.
You know, if you go back to, talking about what happened in Germany with the potential ultra terrestrials.
Yes.
And how
ultra terrestrials. What the hell is that? I heard an extraterrestrial. This man said the ultra terrestrials. The other nigga said, yeah.
These people were developing these technologies that were mind blowing, which led to a whole thing with America really trying to capture these scientists.
You're speaking about Operation Paperclip.
Yeah.
Operation Paperclip. I mean, and we don't have to, speak to, the moral issues. This, people, we leave that to the audience. But Literal days after the declared end of the Civil War, you have the United States government spiriting over Nazi scientists.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how we gained the lead in the space race.
Exactly it.
No, but even bigger, and now you already know about this. You've spoken about this before. One of the lead scientists that they brought, one of them wrong. One of them wrong was working on breakaway civilization. So there's the space race that we know of, and then there's the secret space program that's basically the foundation of breakaway civilizations,
Right.
that we don't know.
Yeah, I asked him, how did you guys build all this stuff? They said we had help.
We had help, and he put
Yeah.
yeah. So one of my mentors is you know who he is, Alan Greenfield.
Yeah.
So Alan, I've known Alan since the 90s. As a matter of fact, it was through Alan that I gained access to a number of these more secret orders. It was through Alan.
Wow.
And so Alan is the one that told me about that interview with Ward if I'm wrong, where he said that.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Crazy.
It's insane.
Flat out said it.
Yes, he did.
And they developed these Hannibal craft, these flying discs. They did mount gun turrets on them and things like that. But Hannibal 1, Hannibal 2,
Sir.
Hannibal 3, I believe even Hannibal 4. Now, it was rumored that after the end of the war,
Yes.
that some of these Nazis escaped on Hannibal 4 to Antarctica, and maybe some even went somewhere else. But
Right. So now you're touching on the whole thing with Admiral Byrd.
yes,
In that situation,
Damn, that motherfucker looks serious, bro.
yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And whether people want to believe it or not, and look into it out is irrelevant. Think about the whole history or the story about Admiral Byrd in Antarctica, and then think about the present Treaty of Antarctica today. Why is there a Treaty of Antarctica with that? If you want to go there, you have to sign it, and you have to sign off on it. You can't,
gag order.
they gag order.
Can't say anything.
Can't say anything about what you see down
Yeah,
there.
and all those bases from all those countries are around this opening that's about 30 meters wide. And the only research team that's down there that is not a country is the Rockefeller Foundation.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. They're down here. They're running a part of it. And Admiral Byrd, I mean, this is a decorated admiral in the U.S. Navy.
Yeah.
Went down there with a lot of ships, a fleet of ships.
Right.
And some of those ships got destroyed by some of these flying craft. And he made a press statement saying that we are confronted with a new enemy, one that can fly pole to pole with incredible speed.
That's right. That's what he
They
said.
sent him back to America with his tail between his legs.
That's right. Sure did. And then he gets back, of course, he's debriefed, his diary. Hey, took that. They're like, look, yeah, you're not talking about this.
Yeah, they did all nothing else.
That's right.
And people think that Project Paperclip was when, we went over to, of course, Germany and we took these scientists, but it wasn't just a few scientists.
That's a
They
fact.
took close to 2,000 Nazis.
That's a fact.
Some of them ended up in the CIA, in the head controlling areas of the CIA, right? FBI.
I brought it up. I wasn't going to say it. Yeah, that's
I
right.
started creating 3-letter agencies for these guys.
Literally created 3 letter agencies.
Crazy.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, them 3-letter agencies, bro. Like, why people always do that? They just create like a 3-letter agency for no reason. The CIA, the FBI, the ATF, even when you take a test, it's like, what's all of this abbreviation for, bro? It's just trying to confuse people, and then they give it a couple of letters and act like it's official. It's like, bro, it's not official, bro.
And put them in control of power. So in a way, America became the Fourth Reich.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. See, brother, you got courage. So you know what? That just amped me up. Good. Okay. So yes, that's correct. That is correct, and that's very accurate to say. It really, really is. It may ruffle some feathers, but that's accurate to say. Now for me, it's like it's like when you have children and they lie to you, or they hide something. You find out they're hiding. Okay, why? What is it that you're hiding? What is it that
You already know why they're hiding. They're hiding the information so that we cannot elevate and they can figure out what the hell we're doing here. We have a purpose here. We're trying to get something done. And then you got people that's in your way. You know what I'm saying?
you don't want me to know? Why are you going through so much? And they're going through a lot to hide something. In my opinion, this is my opinion, based on my research, based on my study, based on my experiences, and just based on just what seems the vital nerve to the status quo, the mystery of the intelligence behind the UAP phenomenon and the mystery of the real identity of the quote unquote African American are tied together.
Yeah.
The aliens is African Americans. Man, let's listen to that one more time.
Me, it's like it's like when you have children and they lie to you or they hide something. You find out they're hiding. You find, okay, why? What is it that you hide? What is it that you don't want me to know? Why are you going through so much? And they're going through a lot to hide something. In my opinion, this is my opinion, based on my research, based on my study, based on my experiences, and just based on just what seems the vital nerve to the status quo. The mystery of the intelligence behind the UAP phenomenon and the mystery of the real identity of the quote unquote African American are tied together.
Yeah.
Wakanda forever. He said something, the identity of the African American and the UAP. Because you got the UFO, and people associate extraterrestrials to UFOs, but a UAP is like an unidentified flying object that we don't necessarily identify with an extraterrestrial. And he's saying the image of African Americans are tied to this in some type of way.
Absolutely.
I brought him out to I brought him to Syracuse, New York back in the late 90s. The late William Cooper.
Wow. Bill Cooper.
Yes.
Wow.
I brought him out. He stayed a week.
Wow.
Yeah. And he wouldn't fly. He took a train all the way from Northern California. And I asked him, dude, who paid for the flight? Why? He goes, because if they want to take me out, I don't want to be responsible for everybody else. Right. That's exactly what he said.
Nice. They took him out anyway.
Oh, they got him anyway.
Yeah.
And the way in which they did, I talked to his wife. She told me the day after.
Mm.
And I'll speak to her. I'll share that. But he said this in the book, especially in the chapter on the secret government, at the very end of it, in the Gold the Pale Horse, he says, that's very possible that all the stuff I said about aliens isn't even true. It's what they wanted me to say. He goes, but regardless, technology's real.
Mm.
And so when we spoke to him that week and we asked him about that, he was convinced. He said, yeah, what they told us about aliens is not real. He goes, we're not saying that they're not aliens or that they doesn't exist. He says, what we were told isn't real. He said this. We said, then what is it then?
Yeah.
He said, there's what we have that we're struggling to come to parity with what they have. I said, who's the they?
Yeah.
He said, an unknown reality. That's all he would say. That's all he would say. He said, an unknown reality.
Yeah.
You see? And so again,
what does that mean? Maybe blacks are the technology needed to tap into that other reality that he's talking about. And then we got other forces tapping into stuff they shouldn't even be tapping into, using the blacks. And maybe American blacks are an experiment and brought here to tamper with further. You know what I mean? So it's crazy.
Speaking to what a little man from Sandersville, Georgia, with a fourth grade education, was teaching his followers in Detroit, Michigan, and Chicago in the 30s on a chalkboard. He said, no, these aren't aliens. These are human beings. These are human beings. He was teaching in the 30s, and the FBI, when they raided, they took the whole chalkboard down.
Yeah. I think maybe like extraterrestrials or higher level beings, they don't exactly like come to your planet. Like, what would they need to come to your planet for? Like, they would just like send you the information or the technology or the thoughts in your mind to, like create the technology to do whatever needs to be done or whatever is being communicated. We could be in a society that's very spread out, and we got a job, and a part of our job is to do our job here. But of course, it's adversity. But that's what creates the race and makes it so strong to begin with. But the technology is inside of us. You know what I mean?
Sounds like that.
Yeah, it's a gold chalkboard.
I don't need it because in my TV series, Anunnaki Ancient Secrets Revealed,
Come on now.
I talk about this war that started in the Pleiades.
Yes.
And that this being, this
The Pleiades is the fifth dimension of existence. If you watch the movie Interstellar, he goes to the Pleiades where there's no time, and in the Pleiades star system, that's when you can change the future and the past because time is an illusion. And there in the Pleiades is like where a lot of the 3D experience is being tampered with and influenced.
form that we're in, this bilateral bipedal hominid, two forward-looking eyes, hands that can manipulate the environment. This is the structure that I believe that permeates the universe and even in other dimensions. Like this is a form that has the capability to build a ship, to create technologies like portals and stargates that can open up and take you places. A whale is 10,000 times smarter than a human being, but they don't have beaks.
Isn't that something, brother? That's so big what you're saying because there's been a number of
Isn't that something?
whistleblowers that were part of or purport to be part of certain special access programs that spoke exactly to that. It said we've seen, dealt with, done autopsies on, etc., interacted with various types of aliens. So, but the predominant form, and there's different forms, of course, but the predominant form is the 5-star form.
Yeah,
2 arms, 2 legs, and a head.
Vitruvian man.
And that, yes. And so from our perspective in the more science tool of America, right? When in religious dogma, when it says heavens and earth, we're not talking about the specific planet Earth. We're talking about 3-dimensional space-time.
Right.
So no matter where you are, 3-dimensional space-time, you get it?
Yeah.
If you see the 5-star shape, we can call that humanity.
Exactly.
So we have to expand even our thoughts on what humanity is.
That's real.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's real. Man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So real. And you know, some of these ultra terrestrials, people in higher dimensions,
That nigga spitting.
they could show up in the ancient past. They show up in Dendera at the Temple of Hathor, and these Hathors, according to the ancient Egyptians, they were elementals.
Yes.
And so they were multidimensional beings that would nudge and influence mankind in particular directions. And they were also in charge of these birthing chambers to help the replication and duplication of mankind to what I don't really fully truly understand. I tried to understand it completely, but by being a slave, it was more to it than that.
Yeah.
But when you look at a movie like Interstellar,
Yes.
you know, and the guy, his ship breaks apart and he falls into the Tesseract.
That's right.
Hypercube.
That's right.
And you can see his Jordan
He just said Interstellar, the movie I was talking about.
in different rooms. It gives you a really good understanding of what we're talking about, higher dimensional, being able to see the past, present, and future at once.
When you first saw the movie Interstellar, did you feel like you were being initiated?
Oh man, for real.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, this is connecting every dot, confirmation. You know, I was just like, wow, okay, I see now. We're talking about the Tesseract for over 10 years before I saw it.
Exactly. So you brought up
It's because they stole it from you, Billy. They've been watching your content. I think they came up with the movie.
Hathor.
Mhm.
Huge. Are you familiar with a real live Indiana Jones? His name was Sir Flinders Petrie.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So in 1901, well, let's go back.
Yeah.
The Book of Exodus. Moses. You already know who we're talking about. Moses, right, kills the Egyptian soldier on the run. Goes to Mount Horeb. Meets his future father-in-law, right? Lord Jethro. Goes up on top of Mount Horeb and gets initiated, right? Meets the God of the Lord of the burning bush. In the Hebrew, El Shaddai, Lord of the mountain, right? And in later years or in the later time, bring the children of Israel to that same mountain. So back up there again.
Yeah.
Okay.
They get established.
While he's up there, the Hebrews are like, oh man, is he coming back? Aaron goes, look, what do you want me to do? We need something to worship. He builds a golden calf, right? And then Moses comes out of the mountain. He's angry with them. Burns the golden calf. Strews it on the water. It makes them drink. You already know where we're going with this. So fast forward to 1901, 1903, Sinai Peninsula. Sir Flinders Petrie is up on top of the ancient Mount Horeb. It's now called Cerebit al-Qadim. Yeah.
Okay.
And he finds an ancient Egyptian temple dedicated to the goddess Hathor. Of course, her emblem is what? Golden calf.
That's right.
That's her emblem, right? And all kinds of hieroglyphic references to stone and bread. Yeah, shamana or mana, right? Huge vats filled with what he thought was a white ash. Yeah. But you know what it was.
It's this gold.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
Gold.
That's what it was. And so they were that temple was literally a manufacturing plant. And it solved the mystery as to why other nations, right, were bringing their metal gold there, and then later to King Solomon.
Yeah.
You know, and so exactly. So we're talking high level technology in ancient time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They knew how to take care of this animated avatar. Come on. You know, they knew how to take care of it. They understood that it was technology.
It was technology. And so you got, John Rayhart, for instance, today, who's just an egghead physicist. That's all he is. He's not really a spiritual guy.
Yeah.
But he's explaining these things. He's like, wait a minute. Okay, so monoatomic gold or end-state elements.
Yeah.
Right? When I first learned about this from the late Lawrence Gardner, that's where I first learned about it about 12 years ago. And I said, oh, man. And so I've been researching it for that long.
Yeah.
And my whole thing, because, being a Qigong instructor, and we teach medical Qigong, or, whatever. My whole thing is there's got to be room temperature superconductivity capabilities in biological systems.
Yeah.
In people. It has to be. And I was pestering Hal Puthoff for like over a year about it. And he was like, oh, yeah, possibly, maybe, right? I come across John Rayhart, and then I learn about David Bohm, I learn about Maywan Ho.
Yeah.
I mentioned it to him, and he goes, oh, yeah, I met her once. I'm like, you told me that a year ago. You wanted me to put the work in. Yeah. So I really appreciate it. But anyway, John Rayhart is speaking about how M-state elements in the body connect and interface the physical 3D body with the higher body on the implicate order. In other words, what religious teaching says, the soul body.
Right.
The higher body, right?
Your higher self.
What? Thank you, brother. So,
So gold interacting with our body allows for us to connect to the Most High. That's interesting.
Prior to the realization of this, classical biology would say, well, our cells repair themselves because of information from the DNA. Sometimes DNA repairs itself. Right? Where does it get its instruction from?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
The sun.
From the ether.
There you go. And so M-state elements, right? As you already know, I'll say for the audience, let's take an M-state element is an element that, let's take gold. You have a gold atom. It has, its electrons all orbiting in their own orbit. But then when you act upon it with a high energy system like electric arc for a period of time, it causes the nucleus to elongate like a cat's iris and then flex so that the electrons form what they call a Cooper pairing. When this happens, they all rotate in the same direction, hence the term monoatomic. But when that happens, the metal to metal bonds fall apart. So you have pure gold, but it's no longer a metal. It's a powder. The atoms are individual, and it forms what's called a Compton radius vortex. Compton radius vortex is the smallest thing with mass that can exist in 3 dimensions. But it's called a Compton radius vortex because it's a miniature wormhole. It's a miniature wormhole, right? So it is a direct interface between 3 dimensions and higher dimensions. Right? Direct interface, and it is.
Imagine you talking to a motherfucker and he know everything you talking about. You talking about some deep ass shit, and he like, yep. That's some bullshit.
It's right in the human body.
It's right here.
It's right here.
Hello?
And back to our point about transhumanism. Yeah, having machines and tech attached to the body, that's cool. We don't need it. We just need methodology and discipline. Methodology and practice.
Practice.
That's right.
The practice is one of the biggest things that's missing. Yeah, but before you get to the practice, you got to believe you have the power.
That's got to start there. Because again, as we said, the quantum operator is that. There was a bit.
Maybe they think that if they create AI and things outside of themselves, they can be intergalactical and travel. But maybe the the answers are inside of us. Maybe we can already travel intergalactically if we learn how to use our own bodies correctly through what like they're talking about.
Very, very,
I don't know what any of this has to do with Jesus, but let's listen further.
very powerful, but little known occultist in America who the whole occult world, the Western occult tradition, credits this man with giving the Western occult and esoteric tradition its deepest secrets. And he was a brother by the name of Pascal Beverly Randolph. That was him, and P.B. Randolph. And so he said in one of his books, we declare the omnipotence of human will.
I love that.
That's what he said.
That's a privilege.
Yes, it is.
That's a privilege.
It really is. It really is. It really is.
That's
That's right. That's right. That's right. We say in our religious tradition, we call it the everlasting gospel. We call it the gospel of the omnipotence of man. See, we don't believe in a religious faith that separates you from your creator.
Right.
We don't believe in that. We say God is closer to you than your jugular vein.
Oh, I love it.
Simple, you know,
Inhabiting every cell in the body, inhabiting every atom in the body.
everything.
Yeah.
Everything. That
I was studying atoms, and of course I was studying DNA.
yes,
When I got through the DNA, I realized we could store data and information on DNA in a volume.
besides something.
And so 1 gram of DNA can store 433 petabytes of data. Wild. So something like my cell phone can store everything that exists in the known world could fit on the cell phone, and all the information and all the rotations, the spin rates, everything about everything that exists on the planet can fit in the cell phone.
Isn't that crazy?
If I made it into a molecular hard drive.
So God, you know, the creator isn't extravagant.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we have that much power.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it makes you in us.
Thank you, brother. Even with, here we go, the average woman, right, produces anywhere from 300 to 500 eggs in a lifetime. They have that many children.
Yeah.
The average male, one ejaculation, if each sperm fertilized an egg, would repopulate the entire United States.
Yeah.
Really? You know, we have that power for another reason. You know what I'm saying? We have that power for a totally different reason, not just to make children, not just, especially definitely not just to waste indiscriminately.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of like we're co-creators.
Period. We're above the archons.
Yeah.
We're above, although we were made a little bit below, right? Like in the book of Genesis, right? In the book of Genesis, you know, what do the Elohim say? After the Adam and Eve ate the fruit, behold, the man's become like one of us.
Right. Yeah. We rose, we ascended.
So you know what we got to do? Get him up out of here. That's not punishment. Just like when I become 18, I'm down to old school is 2025, right?
Yeah.
But
Not back then.
right. But you know, I turn 18, I expect dinner to be made, my clothes washed, I come home, my fork is bent, plate's broken, my bags are back.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying?
Love it.
Yeah, I think it might be punishment. It's not, it's a celebration.
Maybe humanity, maybe we graduated to the level of godly and we like left and started our own like planet or maybe even universe.
I elevated.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yes.
That's a lot of people don't see, they don't understand. But that's where it's at.
That's where it was at.
Understanding that our mission here is to become an ascended master.
More period.
An ascended master.
Rise out and continue to grow spiritually, and the process never really ends. You just keep going and
That's
going.
what Spanish
and
means.
See that? You say new level, new devil, right? That's how it works. It's
Yeah.
and again to that
It's
point,
like you making money and shit. You make money, it's like, I need some more money. You always need some more money. You're always gonna keep needing some more God and some more elevation.
like in the book of Genesis, the way again, there's without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength. You need the ops. You know what I'm saying? The ops is your help me.
Yeah.
Right? So
Without the adversity, you could never become the person that you're gonna become. You know what I mean? The adversity is a part of who you are.
so the way was mistranslated, for instance, in the book of Genesis in the Garden of Eden, the tree of
Even
knowledge.
with humanity, the adversities that we face as a human race are part of what makes us become the way that we're becoming.
Knowledge of good and evil. The word translated or mistranslated to good is the word tov in Arabic, and the word for evil is ra. Tov doesn't mean good it's simply that. Tov means to make stagnant, to make still, to make immovable. Ra means to stir up, to agitate, to cause motion. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what's really good and what's really okay? See, stagnation brings decay. Stagnation brings retardation.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so through that mistranslation, the whole Western world has been taught to run from the very thing that would elevate you.
Yeah.
Hence, I want the beach body, so I'll just take this pill because somebody advertised it at 3 a.m. while I'm half asleep, eating a bag of chips.
Exactly.
Instead of get up at 5:30 and go jog around the block.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And so it's like the whole, we're so messed up in our thinking. The movie Frankenstein, we think that the name Frankenstein was the name of the monster. That was the name of the doctor.
The name of the doctor.
You know, that was a doctor's name. And what did he do? Made a monster and ran from the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
That's us.
Yeah, just another metaphor. Another metaphor for reality of what we're dealing with. Talk about the Nicene Council.
When you were dealing with we were watching, and you were dealing with this West Huff situation.
Yeah.
And so I'm a martial artist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it not just is every aspect of combat,
Right.
more importantly, strategy and tactics.
Yes.
Right. So we were looking like, that's our brother. And he starts, and then we hear, wait a minute, here's the obvious thing. He's defending Christianity. His Christianity began in Rome.
That's right.
It didn't begin in Jerusalem.
No.
It did. You see what I'm saying? So there's the vital nerve, right? There's the vital nerve. Most of us, again, thinking within a box that we didn't create. You say Christianity,
Thinking within a box that we did not create.
we say, oh, the teachings of Jesus.
Right.
Nope.
No.
No.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. What we call Christianity today does not have a monopoly on Jesus.
No.
Jesus didn't teach Christianity.
No.
As a matter of fact, the book of Acts in the Bible says they were first called Christians in Antioch, Greece, and it was a slight. It was a slander to call it, to say that. That's what it was. So he didn't teach Christianity. What happened was that Rome flipped and bounced, chopped and screwed the story of Jesus.
Yeah.
And I want to touch on why that's important to do that, because it's preeminently important. But
Of course, it was important to indoctrinate a world of people that eventually worked for you like slaves.
the foundation of Christianity began in Rome, and more specifically with Emperor Constantine and his mother, Empress Helena.
Right.
That's where it began. And they chopped and screwed the teachings of Jesus. The whole idea of Jesus being a virgin
Yeah. Fabricated.
and unmarried,
Fabricated.
the whole idea of him being the physical son of a spirit God, those were political decisions made at the Nicene Council.
That's right.
And that's it.
Jesus had them hoods.
They were political decisions made at the Nicene Council. The Christian landmarks in Jerusalem were handpicked by Constantine's mother, Empress Helena. They're not real.
That's coming out of your mouth now.
They're not real.
Yeah.
They're not real. In West South, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
You know that, but they're not real.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth. See, it's just the truth. But the Nicene Council is the foundation, not just of what we call Christianity today. The Nicene Council set the foundation stones for the present Western world narrative,
Correct.
that we live under.
That's right.
That is the key thing. It shaped the worldview that we were mentally enslaved to.
Yeah.
You see? So that, if no other reason, there's many others, but if for no other reason, that's what makes the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the More Science Temple of America, an organization like the Nation of Islam, because you're talking about a decolonized narrative,
Yeah.
a decolonized worldview.
Mhm.
That's the thing. You see, Jesus. Okay, why is the story of Jesus so important? So you're familiar with Carl Jung?
Oh yeah.
Yes, archetypal, psychology, and psychology, and especially in the West, was developed as a search for evidence of the human soul.
Mhm.
Right? Okay. So in other words, a search for evidence of what David Bohm, Rich Sheldrake, and Maywan Ho gave scientific evidence to the fact of.
This is through quantum physics. There you go.
The evidence of a higher self.
Right.
So thought, we teach in the more science of America, thinking, understanding, reasoning, and willing. Colby's not soul, they're its actions are not its essence. But guess what? They're proof of its existence. So the fact that you're thinking means that you have activity on a higher dimension. That's very simple, but very amazing to contemplate. Now, I say that to say this. Carl Jung developed what's called archetypal psychology, as you already know. In other words, he did his little sabbatical, just like Descartes did, right? Descartes thinking. He goes, wait a minute, I'm thinking. Cogito ergo sum, right?
Yeah.
I think, therefore I am, right? So he did a similar sabbatical and then came up with the conclusion, there are constructs in my mind that are not of my making. Ooh. In other words, we have patterns so deeply embedded in the human psyche that they govern and direct human activity, even though we're not aware of them.
Exactly.
Right. So think about it. Anyone who's aware of these patterns and can manipulate them, they run the world.
Yes.
They run the world. So why is the story of Jesus so important? One of the deepest patterns in human psyche, no matter where you are, is what happens after you die?
Yeah.
That question. The story of Jesus, whether you believe it historically, whether you don't believe it historically, whether it's whatever, is irrelevant. The story of Jesus answers the question. The story of Jesus is so important because the story of Jesus represents the next stage in human evolution.
Exactly.
And so whoever controls that controls the world.
They control the world. You saw it in that movie with Denzel Washington.
They had Jesus rise up on the third day, and his body was gone. It's like, I always wonder, it's like, if Jesus rose up, why would his body be gone? Like, wouldn't his spirit and his soul be gone? Like, why would his body be gone? That doesn't even make any sense. Like, it's just retarded. So it's just like stuff like that is just simple, rational shit. Like, why would God, the creator of all, leave your body? I mean, like, take your body. Like, what I'm gonna do with your body, bro? You know what I mean? I mean, I'm tripping.
Yes.
Right? What's that movie called?
Book of Eli.
The book.
That's right.
The bad guy in that movie, he knew that if he can just find one Bible
Just one Bible.
and take the narrative of Jesus,
There you go.
he can well, probably the world was going to be probably after the post-apocalyptic situation they had, but he would then retake control of the planet and the people's minds through the dogma.
That's exactly it, man. That's exactly it. So we teach, for instance, in our religious tradition, the more science of America, we say there is no failure for the human soul. For Allah's leading on and victory is sure. In other words, everybody's going to get there.
I love it.
Sooner or later.
Yeah, I love it.
Everybody's going to get there.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And
We're only as strong as our weakest link. We're only as humanity as strong as the weakest, lowest vibrational human on the planet.
you see, man and Allah are one. While Allah is, man cannot die.
Yes.
It forces such a huge change in narrative that it's a paradigm shift. We can no longer think that we have to get rid of the thinking that the departure of our soul and spirit from our flesh is death.
Yes. Two separate things.
Thank you.
The avatar body, the biological material robot, machinery, that will then be reabsorbed into the universe.
Come on.
This is very convenient to believe that there is something after this life. But I mean, obviously there is, but it's just interesting that it's very convenient to believe that as well, and to believe in free choice. But it gets interesting.
And recycle.
Come on. That's right.
It doesn't even die.
Come on. Now, you're talking science or religion? Yes. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. That's it. You know, there is no, the Rosicrucian tradition teaches about a separation of religion and science, but an eventual remerging in the understanding of the masses. See, the enlightened, whether good or evil, already know that there's no separation. They already know, and they take advantage of it. They exploit it. They exploit it to, our ignorance.
Yeah. Fear.
Yes.
Once they put the fear in you, they can mold you, bend you, twist you, contort you.
Yes.
They can make you believe the most craziest thing.
Evil is easy.
Very easy.
Yeah, evil is easy. You know, we say, like we talked about the mistranslation of good and evil, the knowledge, tree of knowledge, good and evil. We're taught that good is ease.
Yeah.
We're taught that evil is agitation. No, agitation brings growth and development.
Right.
Ease brings stagnation and death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's too easy.
Yeah.
We say,
Nobody's ever respected anything easy. Everyone always respects what's hard. That's why nobody respects women that are promiscuous because it's easy to get, you know, penis.
and when men fear Allah and take him for a foe, they dress up fancy men in fancy garbs and call them priests. Today we say politicians.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In other words, you think for me.
Yeah, exactly.
You think for me. And whoever's most popular, that's who I'm rocking.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna go with the cloud.
Isn't that something?
Cloud.
That's what it, right. So with your situation with West Huff, yeah, at a particular point, he sounded like Charlie, to those who know better.
Right.
He sounded like Charlie Brown school teacher.
Wow.
Exactly. That's what it sounded like, you know. And then some people pointed it out, like, no. The very thing you tried to accuse our brother of, you did.
Yeah. People got to understand that we are already eternal.
Come on, brother.
And when they understand that this corporeal body is going to be reabsorbed into the universe and all the atoms will be recycled as they have been done for eons,
Yes.
we ourselves, our higher self, our spiritual being will reconnect with our higher self. It's just a frequency that reabsorbs into the higher mass frequency.
Yes.
And like you say, since God is eternal, that means we are eternal.
We are eternal.
And we cannot die because God is not going to die.
The fall of man, from a quantum physics perspective, is the collapsing of human consciousness from non-locality to locality.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly what it is.
You know, that's it. And as you mentioned, we teach in our tradition, man is not the body or the soul. Man's spirit and part of God. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
It's actually simple.
It is simple, but as Aleister Crowley said,
Yeah.
he said this way. This is deep because it sounds so much. Wow. He said it like this, and he gave in one of his books. He talked about the definition of magic, the scientific definition of magic. He said,
Professor Crowley and Harry Potter.
the definition of magic is to cause change in conformity to one's will. He said the proper magical formula from going from one room to another is turning the doorknob.
Oh,
He said, but to our simple minds, he says, to will anything other than the supreme will is to fall further away from. Wow. He said, but to our complex minds, such a simple act is near impossible. Hence, training and practice is necessary. But then he took it a step further. Talking about the will thing, he said, most people don't have a will. They don't have a set of wishes.
Yeah, exactly.
One contradicts the other,
Yeah.
and at death they cancel each other out.
Boom. I hope I will. One day I might. I think I will.
Right.
Maybe I can.
You know, will is like, as opposed to a wish, it's like, will is like when you see your wife for the first time and you're like, yeah, she's fine.
Yeah.
It's what it is. It never occurs to you that no other option occurs to you. That's will.
Yeah.
But that's a focus. That takes effort. That takes, you know, in many cases, it takes training. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know,
Facts.
they have to put the work in. But what you said again back about we were talking about the Nicene Council. That is such a huge point in history that our people need to know and study.
Yeah.
So they can understand the type of thinking we've been
Programmed with.
there you go. There's the word, programmed with. We've been programmed to think a particular way. So, and because you're programmed to think in a particular fashion, it doesn't matter what you know. It doesn't matter what you know.
Yeah.
You can get right information, but you have the wrong perspective and wrong narrative.
Exactly.
So you'll kick it out just like the Smithsonian Institution did with all kinds of artifacts.
Oh, yeah. The narrative put away all the artifacts in Egypt that was in the grandparents.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
It's because it didn't fit the narrative. It didn't fit the narrative of isolationism, you know, and so, and you know, it didn't fit the narrative, so we're going to get rid of it.
Exactly.
And that's what we end up doing psychologically. We've got people that look like you and me that'll see a pyramid on the back of a dollar bill and call it satanic.
Right.
Bill pyramids, what are you talking about? You know, that's Inquisition is there.
I think they've been programmed. And it's through the epigenetic memories passed down 15 to 20 generations long in their own body, their ancestors calling after them, denying them from really grabbing onto their true birthright.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
That's so big right there, what you just said. It's
That's crazy.
and even that, if man, we follow the bouncing ball. Okay, man can't die. Why? This man's not this. Well, if that's the case, then some of my old relatives that are no longer here in the flesh, they're not dead. Right. Which means what? I could probably communicate with them. Yes.
Yes.
Now it's just methodology.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
methodology, practice.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Now we're getting closer to what our forefathers did. You know,
Yeah.
Jesus is recording the same greater things will you do in my name, right? We say, Prophet Noble Drew Ali said it this way. He said, you know, that the world may hear and know the truth, that amongst the descendants of the inhabitants of Africa, there's still much wisdom to be learned.
Mm.
So wait a minute. Our forefathers built pyramids back then. You mean we're going to do bigger and greater things than that?
Bigger and greater.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
You know, because it took a mindset and a narrative and a way of thinking to produce that. What would we rather have? The object that was produced or the mindset that produced it?
Right.
I want the mindset.
I want the mindset. That's right. That's what I want. I get
Exactly.
all day long.
All day long, man. That's what I want. I want the mindset.
Yeah, man.
You know, yeah. This is a beautiful conversation because again, we're exercising even in the dialogue that religion and science, true religion
Go together.
and true science, like even okay. So there's a term that I learned a number of years ago called scientism.
Okay.
Right. So the
I feel like religion is just a word to describe the way that you live your life. That's your religion. And then science is the science of it all, the details.
very thing about like even the teachings of Jesus being colonized and flipped. Same thing happened with science.
Mhm.
Same thing happened with science. So it's called scientism, meaning it's relegated to it limited to just my five senses.
Yeah. Yeah.
But wait a minute, the whole idea of science is to go from the known to the unknown.
If you don't tap into the unknown, you'll never get new answers.
Right. So scientism basically, so the scientism has hijacked the narrative of science in the West.
Yeah.
If I can't see, taste, hear, touch, feel it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Well, what does that mean? That means that I can't know anything beyond what I can taste, smell, hear, feel, touch.
Yeah. And all those are just sensing frequencies.
That's all they are.
And human beings only see less than 1% of the light spectrum.
Come on, brother.
We don't even know what's around us, what's all in us, around us, and everywhere going on. Oh, so many things are going on right now.
Right at this moment, brother, to your point, see, that's such a powerful point you bring up. You know, I talk about this all the time, you know, with a number of my members and students. That on your shoe, that red part on the heel.
Yeah.
Why is it red?
Yeah.
It's red, and we learned this in grade school. It's red because it's a substance in it that absorbs every other frequency except red and reflects that back, reflects the frequency
Back to
the optic nerve,
Yeah.
which then sends the transmission to my brain, and my brain interprets it as red. What does that mean? It means it's only red in here. That's it. It's not red out there.
It's an illusion. It's a hologram.
It's up there. You go. It's only red in here. So we teach in our organization, in the Sufi order I'm in, we teach that that the world, the outer world, is nothing more than the expanding inner perception.
That's it.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
And that's literal science.
Yeah.
But it's frightening
Right.
because we've been socialized to think the opposite.
Complete opposite. I tell people all the time, the human brain is encased in darkness. It doesn't know anything that's going on in
I'm not even.
but it has sprains, the five senses.
There you go.
Seeing, taste, touch, smell, right?
Yes.
And so it sends the friends out and says, hey, go grab me some data so that I can figure out what's going on. The friends go out, they touch, they smell, they hear, they taste, they see, but they don't even know how to decipher the information.
Correct.
They transmit data back to that brain, which is encased in darkness And it's the brain projects a hologram as to what it thinks is going on in the outside.
That's literally what's happening.
And you navigate through the
You navigate through your own hologram.
That's it. Literally.
You navigate through your own hologram.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? Now that being said, there's limits there's borders to your perception.
Yeah, there's parameters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, our objective is to expand. We call it in our religious organization, raise your thoughts to infinite wisdom. Raise the vibration, right? In the Sufi order, we say our objective is to expand our perception without cracking the psyche and us. I love that. See, because that can happen. You know, you could venture out there a little too far and end up, in the rubber room.
I know.
You can venture out there a little too far.
The wrapping around sleeve.
Exactly. Already those people. Yes, sir. In the got big rap.
Black people are aliens.
So that is like, for instance, in true initiatory bodies, which include authentic religious organizations, right? You have a mythos. You're initiated into a mythos. You're initiated into a different worldview.
Yeah.
What that does, and I mentioned this the first time you and I appeared on Brother Rich's show. Right brain knows everything. Right brain's connected to the universe.
Yeah.
Left brain is the filter. Left brain says, "Can I use this? If I can't, go. If I can, cool, I use it." Right. So a new mythos restructures left brain to allow more right brain data. That's the idea of initiation.
That's it.
Expand your perception. That's it. That's why in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
This motherfucker get anybody to join his gang, bro. It just sounds good. Like, that's initiation.
Already been put in a jail cell.
Yes.
Because it says in the beginning, and there's no such thing to a circle.
Exactly. There's no
Exactly. Right.
we're in a loop.
Yes.
There's no beginning or end.
Right. That's why in our religious doctrine, the very first statement, time never was when man was not. Break you out of it.
Yeah.
And then the second chapter, we measure time in cycle ages.
Yeah, that's right.
You see?
The Indians call them Yuga cycles.
Yuga cycles. Right. Right. We've been here before. Matter of fact, Oppenheimer, the lead scientist on the Manhattan Project, spoke to this very thing when they detonated the first nuclear explosion, their first nuclear explosion. I have to say their first because Mohenjo-Daro was thousands of years before. Exactly.
Blast in the ancient blast in Pakistan.
We've been having nuclear weapons way in the past.
And so you've got, an individual wrote him a letter saying, yes, congratulations, but this ain't the first time this was done.
Yeah.
An individual actually wrote him about this.
Yes. He even quoted something from the Mahabharata.
Sure did. Kali, the goddess Kali, behold, I have become death, the destroyer of worlds. Yes. That means he knew some things.
He knew.
Yes.
That makes sense.
That's right. He was in the ancient text, which goes back again to this high technology, which again, already. It's ancient tech.
Yeah.
Above top secret is ancient technology.
All of it is.
It's ancient technology. When you can look at the Avestas and the Avesta and the Vedas and read about Vimana and Velixi, and right down to where there's a description of propulsion system.
Yeah, you see the ferrofluid vortex engine right in the ancient Indian Vedas.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like, okay. And the flight plans.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Come on. Like, what you...
Right.
It's supposed to be trying to figure out how they can get food for the night, but somebody sits down and says, I think I'm going to take the night off and write this sci-fi movie. Right. Thousands of years ago.
Yes.
Based on real quantum physics.
Real physics. Yeah. You can't... Exactly. It's insane stuff. But again, it all goes against the present narrative that we've been indoctrinated into. Yeah. So even when, I know you've run into it in your travels and in your teaching and in lecturing, where you're showing people book, chapter, verse evidence, and they're just going, because their mind can't stretch because they're stuck in the narrative.
Yeah. Well, we talked to somebody and I'll be going beyond the biblical text age. So now I'm going into ancient text,
Come on.
but they can only communicate to me from the biblical level text because that's as far as their brain's ever gone.
And until we get the rest of humanity further than that, that's exactly where we're gonna be at, bro.
Even to your point, and you brought this
It's
up
funny.
before. For instance, the story of Noah, right? That didn't happen 4,000, 5,000 years ago. It was 10 to 12,000.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, it was 10 to 12,000. Yeah, it was exactly. And there's now we have archaeological evidence. We're not talking about some physical art somewhere. We're talking about sediment layers, from the lesser Greater Dryas period, younger Dryas. That's it. Thank you. 10 to 12,000 years ago of the day.
Yeah.
But it's undeniable,
Yeah.
but you're talking about it. So it even pushes
That's
back Bishop Usher's time,
Mhm.
4004 BC. You can't be serious.
Yeah, I know.
The
numbers that they come up with are just ridiculous.
it is. It is. Yeah. That
it's crazy because like when they manipulate the numbers, it's crazy because you think like something happened the other day or like 4,000 years ago. No, it happened 11,000 years ago. It's like a totally different thing. It's like, damn, it put things into perspective like that things are more vast. Even humans been here for so long, 250,000 years. They're telling you about Jesus. Jesus was here 2,000 years ago. So like he's relevant and good, cool. But bro, we're talking about a history of 250,000 years. Y'all only gave us the most recent history. Hold on, bro. Something's up here.
and again with the whole West Huff situation, you know, the vital nerve for West Huff is him having to defend what was invented by Emperor Constantine, knowing that the majority of people believe it to be authentic teachings of Jesus. All we have to do is introduce the authentic
Really, he wanna debate West.
teachings of Jesus.
He was tired. He didn't like how Billy went up there. He's like, man, you should have killed that man.
That's it. All we got to do is talk about his 13 years in the day. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What he learned there. Right.
You don't want to talk about his time spent in Egypt.
Come on, brother. His 5 years in Heliopolis.
Yeah.
I won't talk about that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the fact that the Bible picks up and says, I called my son out of Egypt, leading credence to the fact that, Jesus was in Egypt.
He was in Egypt.
Getting that knowledge.
That's right. That's right. In our again, one of the jewels in our faith tradition is that a huge part of our study is those 18 missing years.
Yeah.
That's it. A huge part of our study is those 18 missing years. He sponsored at age 12 to go to India.
Yeah.
And the things that he read and the
Damn, Jesus was on scholarship to India at 12. That's crazy.
things that he did, and then back in Egypt, and then it's accepted in Heliopolis.
Yeah.
John,
Well documented.
it's documented. John, his cousin,
Mhm.
is accepted at Saqqara.
That's right.
You see, it changes everything. It changes everything. It for especially for us, for the masses, it forces a change in narrative.
Mhm.
It forces a change in narrative. Now we have to look at these things different.
Yeah.
Got to look at the story of Jesus different. Got to look at why, its importance and its significance.
Yeah.
Different.
Totally different.
Yes, sir.
As Yoda said in Star Wars, you must unlearn.
You must unlearn and relearn. And also to quote Yoda again, right? From the friend of Yoda, to quote him again, he said, luminous beings are we,
That's right.
not just crude flesh.
Not just brute flesh.
Yeah.
Everything is connected. Force within us.
These niggas better be best friends after this. Yeah, right? Know everything. He said, also, Yoda said, luminous beings are we.
I promise you, we might be in a meeting in our religious organization right now. Seriously, because we are part of our teaching.
Yoda be talking in backwards, though. That's just hilarious because it's like he manifests what it is before he says it.
We say every living thing is bound by cords to every other living thing.
Yeah. That's a fact.
Yes. With even back to the ultra terrestrial thing. I heard a particular whistleblower speak to this. And this particular whistleblower, you know him. He was a med tech. So he was brought into the special programs working on bodies, and at a particular point, he couldn't tell whether they were engineered or quote unquote alien, right? And he's worked on a whole bunch of things. Even he said that a number of these other beings say that Earth is like a museum because of the variety of life,
Yeah.
right? And how, yes, the predominant life form, intelligent life form looks like us,
Yeah.
roughly, 2 arms, 2 legs, head, but there's other types, insectoid types, reptilian types, and things like that, right? And so Earth is like a composite because you find variations of all of them right here.
Right here, one place.
So what's so crazy about that is that in our religious teaching, we teach a type of spiritual evolution.
Damn, Earth is a composite planet? That's crazy. Like y'all know in Star Wars where they like go to that planet where like all the other like intergalactical beings go to that one planet. There's a whole bunch of different stuff going on. That's how they're saying Earth is. Like even I guess you can put in like plants and stuff too, if it's really diverse. But who knows? I haven't been to other sectors of the galaxy yet. But maybe
We don't teach that man evolved from aquatic being to this to monkey, blah, 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 blah. No. We teach that the thought, the essence is always the same. It never changes. But the manifest of the essence,
Yeah.
its expression.
Gotcha.
For instance, once upon a time, scientists thought that dinosaurs, that lizards and reptiles are the descendants of dinosaurs. We know better now. It's not. Birds. Birds are, you see? But the thought doesn't change, but the expression of the thought changes. That's what evolves.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that falls exactly in. So we say that there's different levels of expression.
Yeah.
Mineral level, plant level, animal level. Get it?
Yeah, all the way up.
Right. David Bohm speaks to that. That's what he calls the implicate order in quantum mechanics.
Right.
You have an order of manifestation, right? A brain cell is a brain cell, and it knows to be just a brain cell. What happens when it thinks that it's the brain? You have a tumor, and it's called cancer.
That's right.
It's outside the order.
man, this dude Sharif Anael had a lot of information. That dude was dope. But yeah, man, it's a great conversation between Billy Carson and Sharif, man. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope you had your mind opened up a little bit and definitely can see the other side of what they were saying in that debate that he lost against West. You know, a lot of the times in debate when you get into like spirituality, religion, and pseudosciences and science and stuff, it's very hard to say who won a debate, you know, especially when people are arguing from a small period of time or one specific text and they're not taking things back. It's like you could take it as far as back as you want to go, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it was a good conversation. And, you know, I'll be back soon with another one.